This is St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Spring training 2022, and away we go from Roger Dean Stadium. The familiar faces are back. Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado. A new manager, though, in Ali Marmol. And an old buddy returns in Skip Schumacher. And let's go starting today. And welcome to our Bally Studios here in St. Louis as we get you set for another season of St. Louis Cardinals baseball. We're so excited to do that. I'm Dan McLaughlin with the Cardinals Hall of Famer Jim Edmonds. And Jimmy, it took a while to get to this point, but here we are, and baseball is back.
Yeah, you're right. It's back. A little bump in the road, a little bit of, controversy, but it's what's life without a little bit of controversy, but it's back. It's nice in spring training right now, and the guys are ready to go.
So it's a shortened spring training, but hey, opening day right around the corner. No excuses, so let's go. And it starts today. The Houston Astros at Roger Dean Stadium to take on the St. Louis Cardinals next on Bally Sports. Cardinals baseball on Bally Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. By Shelter Insurance for your home, auto, and life. We're your shield. We're your shelter. And by Ford, the official car and truck of the St. Louis Cardinals. Get ready and get ready in a hurry, and that will be the order of business for all players around Major League Baseball, as this is the spring training opener, and then the final game is on the 5th of April, and then you start up on the 7th, so not many tune-ups for anybody out there, especially starting pitching. And today it begins with the Houston Astros from Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida, where the Cardinals are entering their 131st season of play in the National League and their 25th spring training in Jupiter, Florida. And you know what, buddy? Get ready in a hurry. Some guys have said over the years, I want a shortened spring. Well, now you got it.
Well, I think if you look at this and you, in our shoes, what we see is, what you might not see as the public is, they're ready. They should have been doing their normal stuff, and when spring training starts, when it should have started, they should have been ready to go for spring training. And then they know the season was going to start at some point. You need to ramp it up. And I promise you, from playing catch with Adam Wainwright on Albert Pujols' birthday in January of 2 years ago in Cabo, that he's ready to go, because if you're going to do that, you're going to be ready to go when spring training starts. And there is no secret why a guy like that is in this predicament right here. Look at last season. His team ranks first in everything.
You know what's been amazing is not only has he been one of the best, and you say older pitchers in the game, he's been flat out just one of the best pitchers in the game, especially since the pandemic hit.
And I think it's almost a shame that we have to say older all the time, because you're right, Danny. He has been flat out the best out there at given times during the last year and a half. And it's weird. We went from a guy literally walking out the clubhouse door thinking never going to play again, to throwing sidearm about 80, 82, to we've seen up to 92, over the top, great curveball. And I mean, I think you just look at the team stats. It speaks for itself.
So franchise icons Yadier Molina, Adam Wainwright entering this season, their 18th season as teammates. There's Dusty Baker still doing it. Leon, Durden, Costas, Matchevich, Jolks, Lee, Kessinger, Gonzalez, and Daniels. Not a lot of household names in that lineup for Dusty Baker.
No, it's interesting, too, because, I woke up this morning and looked at the lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals, and I thought it was pretty self-explanatory. What did you say? Get ready in a hurry. It kind of shocks me, even though the first game is on the road, that more everyday guys aren't ready in this lineup for the Houston Astros. I know you don't want your guys to travel a lot early on, but this kind of surprises me right here. But tomorrow, I'm sure they're at home, so they want to give their fans something. And you know what? Even though spring training guys should be in shape, you don't like guys to go back-to-back in the first couple of days, because you never know how much or how ready they really are.
So Waino going today. His battery mate is Andrew Kisner. Yadier Molina not in camp. They hope to have him in camp next week. That's taken low. And it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Big year for Andrew Kisner, again serving as the backup to Yadi, and then we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah, this is going to be an important year for him to see if he just keeps getting better and he can progress this year, just like he has in the past. I think he's, struggled at times at the plate, but I felt like last year, a little breakthrough, did a nice job at the plate. And then he always has done a really nice job behind the plate. So it'll be interesting to see what he gets out of this year.
And the 2-2 is tapped foul. A lot of the regulars are in the lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals. This very well could be your opening day lineup, and the Cardinals will open at home against Pittsburgh, Busch Stadium, and that'll be on April 7th. So the big guns in there: Arenado, Goldie, Adam Wainwright on the mound, and a lot of Gold Glovers defensively. Hit to the right side. And there's Paul Goldschmidt right on cue.
Right on cue.
Won his 4th career Gold Glove award last year, and first since 2017. So you have O'Neill, who's won a couple. Bader got his first. Dylan Carlson is in right. Arenado, DeYoung, Edman, Goldie on the infield. Andrew Kisner, as we mentioned, behind the plate. So Tommy Edman wins his first. Arenado has got 9 Gold Gloves. O'Neill with 2, and Bader his first, and then Goldie with 4. Big curveball drops in for a strike. Justin Durden at the plate.
I love the fact that Tommy Edman won the Gold Glove last year. I don't know how much more we could have pumped him up as far as telling everyone how good this kid really is when he's going to get a chance to play, and he got that chance. And he really showed exactly what we saw in spring training when he first came up, and it was just as solid as it gets. He makes every play. He has great athleticism, and he's like a plus bat. He gets on base, he can run, he can steal, and he scores runs.
And a swing and a miss, tailing away. Strikeout of Durden, and the first of spring training for Adam Wainwright.
Like a little changeup right there, or backup cutter, but
look at this baby move.
What do you got here? Looks like a little changeup right there.
And Tommy Edman had 5 errors. That was it. Fewest among all second basemen with at least 1,000 innings. And so he joins Colton Wong and Fernando Vina as Gold Glove winners, wearing the birds on the bat.
Now, if you think about that, 5 errors, played all year at second base, up the middle. I mean, you have to, the ball is in your hands at least once an inning, if not twice. Talking about ground balls, double plays, making throws. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Did you have a good offseason, Jimmy?
I did.
Good. I was concerned about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it's tough being at home.
Oh, what a play, Nolan Arenado.
So we have to worry about the defense at all this year?
I love it. The birds are back. Nolan at the hot corner, doing what Nolan does. Wow. From his knees. This team's going to be fun to watch in 22. Takes over for Mike Schilt, who guided the Cardinals to postseason play every year. He's at the helm. And Ollie's got a pretty darn good team in Tommy Edman, Goldie, O'Neill here in the first, then Arenado, Carlson, and Bader, DeYoung, Nootbaar, and Kisner. And Nootbaar is serving as the designated hitter. And they will face Justin Verlander, who is back for the Houston Astros. He'll be 39 by opening day and trying to become only the 10th known pitcher to return after undergoing Tommy John surgery at the age of 37 or later. And we know when he's right, he's one of the best in the game still, but coming off of Tommy John, advanced age, we'll see what he's got. Yeah, nothing like opening up at home. It's tough to see in spring training a little bit, and getting 94 to 96 right out of the gate. I used to love that when you'd get the Marlins with some of their fireballers when they were nice and young. There's a fastball at the knees to the switch hitting Tommy Edman. And it's a count of 2 balls and 1 strike. Outfield is straight away, pretty much straight up on the infield, and a little chopper hit back to Verlander. He'll step and throw for the out. Dusty Baker, a look at his defense, but how about Dusty? 13 more wins, and he'll be just the 12th manager in Major League history with 2,000 career wins. 10 of the other 11 to get to that milestone. They are in the Hall of Fame. Well, there's no secret that he's going to be in there, especially coming back and kind of putting on a nice show. You know what's funny? He always just kind of returns to
a team that has a lot of potential, and he kind of rights the ship a little bit. And I played for him just for a month, and he's just a no-nonsense guy. You know, we battled him when he was with the Cubs and
Giants.
And the Giants, and it seemed like, man, I didn't really, you know, obviously don't care for him. Him and Tony were arguing all the time, and I think it was kind of a mutual respect and mutual hate for each other. But that month I played for him in Cincinnati, you know, he just kind of sat back and kind of just, you know, little pat on the back here, a little slap on the wrist here, and other than that, let's go. You guys are old enough to handle it yourself. So I was quite impressed with just kind of the mild-mannered version of him.
And the 1-1 taken outside by Paul Goldschmidt. The Cardinals certainly going into this season on paper would have MVP type candidates, and this would be one of them. Goldie, Arenado, maybe even Tyler O'Neill, who is terrific down the stretch for the Cardinals in that remarkable 17-game winning streak, the best in franchise history. And that September to remember, they went 22-7 in September, and the odds makers said there's no chance that this team is going to postseason play, so they defied the odds, got in, lost to LA. And big reason too was that second half by Goldie. The 3-1 pitch, and he yanks that foul.
That's another pretty good sign right there. I think as a hitter, the last part of spring training that you're waiting for, and not late in camp, but just when you're ready as a hitter, is when you're starting to get the bat out in front of the zone. And kind of right there, you can see that ball ran in, but the bat head got there in time, and that's a good sign, because usually you're just late with live pitching, and you'll take that as a veteran too. You just take your time with it.
And a strikeout, the first of the afternoon for Verlander. After August 1st, and you think about why did this team go to postseason play, this is a big reason. Tyler O'Neill got on fire and just figured it all out. The combination of the speed and the power. What a player.
You know what? Probably the most impressive season-to-season changeover that I've seen, especially out of a guy that not a lot of people expect to be a superstar. He's a guy that maybe just going to be a fill-in guy, play defense, good athlete, can run, can hit for power. But who would have thought that from one year to another he would have made the transition he made? And I'll tell you what, whoever he worked with, whatever he did when he went home 2 off seasons ago, I'm sticking with that program for the rest of my life, because it was pretty impressive.
What's also approach too, middle, outer half, the breaking balls, you didn't see him chase nearly as much.
Didn't have, and that's, you know, and there's a lot to that. There's someone, either he got to himself and he figured it out, or someone got to him and got through to him, or he just figured something out late. And I'll tell you, it's really hard to change in the middle of your career, and he did a great job with it.
1, 2, 3 go the Birds, and we're scoreless.
Our camps have always been, you know, we pride ourselves on little things, details. And how do you do that when you have 4 or 5 days before your first game, right? And so, you know, I imagine we're passing out Cliff Note versions of lots of things to people to be able to, you know, speed up. But in that speed up process, you know, you got to make sure you don't miss the details. And so if some of the things that we might have accomplished before game 1 of a normal camp, we might not be until game 8. But that's going to be the internal adjustment we all have to make.
Interesting, he talks about details, and we saw with Mike Schilt and Ali Marmol, both very detail oriented, and especially at this time of year. And I'm talking about rundowns, base running, the little things that you think about. So now they got to condense that in this short spring training.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in the locker room in the couple springs, and you know, Ollie and Mike worked really well together. But I think what people don't realize is Ollie was the guy who put everything together.
That's right.
So, you know, your bench coach, which now is Skip Schumacher, usually does a lot of the work, and especially the scheduling of spring training and keeping everything going, and, you know, the times and how things are going to work. And the manager has a million other things to worry about other than putting schedules and keeping pitchers on task or whatever. So Ollie, this is no strange situation for Ollie. He ran spring training whenever he was there with Mike as far as all the scheduling, and now probably Skip's taken over the reins, but Ollie's right there and knows exactly how he wants things to go.
Jammed him a bit. Tough play here. Arenado, and threw it away as he had a heck of an effort, but that'll be a base hit. Download the MLB app to get in-game video highlights, live pitch-by-pitch, breaking news, player updates, stat leaderboards, and more for your Cardinals, the MLB app. Right now, the Cardinals, for opening day, if you're wondering about tickets, they have sold over 40,000 already. But there's still some opening day tickets available, and they're as low as $30 for opening day. So we will have a sellout undoubtedly, but be a part of it. Get those tickets now. Corey Julks, third baseman today for Houston. Would you be inclined, if you're Ollie or really just anybody in baseball, pitching coaches across the board, do you want, you know, in a normal spring, if this was Adam Wainwright going, let's say, in, you know, February 27th, starting his schedule, usually you'd say, okay, let's get him to 30, 40 pitches maybe, but a couple innings and that's it. Do you push him a little bit here, because April 7th is not far away?
I think it's individual preference, or the conversation between each individual pitcher, right? I'm pretty sure Adam Wainwright can handle 50 pitches today, just on his being around his. I know what kind of person he is. Now, there might be another guy that can't, or another guy that you don't trust. That conversation has been had already with the manager, the pitching coach, and each pitcher. And I'll be honest with you, if that kind of behind the scenes, you know, off the record conversation hadn't happened since January 1st, I'd be surprised too, because someone's got to be in their ear saying, hey, don't forget, we're going to play, make sure you're ready. And you don't have to tell that to Adam Wainwright, but maybe some younger guys down the list. But I think Adam Wainwright knows exactly how long he can go out there, and he'll tell you when he's good and when he's not good. But I'd be surprised if he doesn't go 3, especially with this pitch count right here. And the thing I like about the veterans is, too, notice that he's not wasting a lot of pitches. He's throwing, his breaking ball looks really sharp. That tells you that he's been throwing, but he's not messing around. He's just like, here, hit it on the ground, you know, do this, do that. No strikeouts, no extra pitches. Just kind of try to conserve your pitches, try to get through a couple innings. One of the things that they look for out of the starting pitchers early on is, what do they do? How do they handle going back out for the second inning, going back out for the third inning? Sometimes that's a tell-all sign too, not just the pitch count itself.
Pitch was up and hammered into left center. That ball is down and all the way to the wall. Houston will take an early 1-0 lead. Corey Julks with an RBI double, and it's 1-0 Houston.
And then the one more thing to that, if you look right there, that ball's up. What the adrenaline does to you for the first time, you know, can you come out the second inning, still have that same fire, and still have that same, basically, adrenaline and everything you need to go 2 and 3 innings? Or do you run out of gas quicker because you haven't done it yet this year?
So 1-0 Houston, and now it's Corey Lee, the catcher for Houston today. Breaking ball in for a strike.
A lot of factors that come into each game, and I think especially when you're in, this is going to be a very unique, not like we're not used to it with the last couple of years, but another unique situation this spring training is going to bring.
So that's on the pitching side of things. What about for a hitter? I always used to say that guys like yourself could roll out of bed in spring training and be ready to go. Give you, you know, 3, 4, 5 games and they're ready to play.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to remember too, you're spending a lot of time on the backfield. So you might have, I think I had 5 at-bats one spring training and came out of camp hitting 400. So just because you have 5 at-bats in a game doesn't mean you're swinging the bat and haven't been swinging the bat in the backfields and taking extra batting practice. So I think as a hitter, way easier to get ready and get, you know, because as a hitter, you can just keep going. You can hit all day for 5 straight 7 days in a row. Pitchers, you can't do that. You got to kind of rest and do your work and get your arm healthy. And so totally different scenario.
The 1-2 lifted in the air to left. No tag up, so the first out after the catch by Tyler O'Neill.
You look at these, you know, veteran pitchers, especially after like the first inning and a half, so to speak. You got Verlander with 13 pitches, 8 strikes, and then Waino just 15 out of 21. So they're trying to get it, trying to get the ball across the plate. They know in their head there's a rush to get ready for the start of the season, especially being pretty much the aces of the staff.
And now it is Kessinger. That's one of the things I love about spring training, going on those backfields and seeing the young players and some of the matchups that make it fun. It could be Waino facing a Yadier Molina, or Arenado the other day facing Adam Wainwright, took him deep.
Huh.
Adam Wainwright, by the way, went back to his high school during the lockout, was pitching against some of the high school kids. But a byproduct of what's happened, not in a positive way from the lockout, was that teams could not talk to their players. So, as you were saying, well, maybe they were talking about schedules, not supposed to, but also getting the boots on the ground, so to speak, to see your injured players. And they weren't sure about Jack Flaherty. Well, he went for a second opinion yesterday. And Alex Reyes has been shut down for a couple of weeks. So,
I mean, that's the one spot that's going to hurt.
Part of it.
Yeah, that's the one place that's going to hurt. And that's where, as a veteran player, if you know you're having trouble, or if you're hurt, or you're not ready to go, you have to go see the doctor on your own. You're going to have to be proactive in that point. And you can't rely on just sitting around waiting for your team to, I mean, you cannot come back from this lockout until April, and then you would have less time to get ready, or more time to lose, and then your starts are fewer and fewer, and that's less and less money that you're going to make, and you got to be proactive and do things on your own.
A couple of things in this inning already for Houston. I'm sure Dusty Baker will address it, but one, you had a runner at second, nobody out, didn't get him to third, and now on a ground ball you run yourself right into an out.
You just see that it was a good replay right there, and this is just part of it. Yeah, you can't get thrown out there, but you saw that the little jog step where he got stuck, and you're in no man's land right there. He was completely out either way, and so he just decided to keep running. But as soon as you hesitate, you're in no man's land.
Off the glove of Wainwright, and Regroupson makes the play. RBI double for Jolks at the top of the second. It's 1-0 midway through 2, and Nolan coming up. Nolan Arenado, Dylan Carlson, Harrison Bader for St. Louis. 1-0 our score. And looking at two of the best third basemen in recent memory in St. Louis. Scott Rowland, the St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Famer, looks to be an MLB Hall of Famer, and a guy that's putting together a Hall of Fame career in Nolan Arenado. Not a bad coming out party for either one of those two. His first years were impressive, to say the least. Scott Rowland, by the way, jumped from 52.9% of the vote on the ballot for MLB Hall of Fame to 63.2%. And some of the other guys that were on there for their 10th and final year are now off the ballot. So
that's awesome.
I don't think it would surprise anybody to see him voted in next year.
Not at all.
And deserving. Nolan Arenado, his first season in St. Louis was a dandy. This guy is fun to watch. So he can opt out again after this season. Most believe that will not happen. And the point I'm trying to make is that there is a comfort level that he is now in year 2 in St. Louis. Full crowds, understanding what the situation looks like. Hit softly to short. Arenado retired, but that second year, you're more comfortable. There's no doubt.
Yeah, well, the year goes by fast, and I had a lot of conversations with him last year, and kept talking about he was missing fastballs that he normally didn't miss, and I think he started to make adjustments that he may not have needed to make. And it kind of, you know how quickly things go, right? Day to day to day to day, and it's hard to make that adjustment. And I think the year kind of got away from him where he wanted to be average-wise, but he had a great year, and so it'd be interesting to see how some of these guys make their comeback as far as working on what they felt like they didn't do well last year.
Is it me, or do we not talk about this young man enough? He just went about his business so quietly. Nice first year with 18 home runs. 780 the OPS. Really nice job shifting at times from center field to right field. We just forget how young he is.
Yeah, and I think that's along with the hitting, I think the ability to be able to play center field for him is his best asset. He's a big kid, but he pays attention to the game. He's got a little bit of that Jim Edmonds in him, where he kind of likes to watch the pitcher and the catcher and the location, and he moves around. It gives him that extra step or two where maybe Bader can make up for the speed. And I just like watching him and talking to him, and he's a lot more wise than his years, especially baseball wise.
Growing up in a baseball family will do that. Father is head coach all the way through. 1 ball and 2 strikes and a shift on the right side of the infield, and that may be eliminated after this season. That's one of the rules that has been talked about, that in the new CBA following this year, would they limit or ban the shift? And they're going to continue to have various experimental rule changes in the minor leagues this year. Bigger bags, elimination of the shift, the pitch clock, robot umps at certain levels. That could be coming. So get ready for it.
That'll be interesting. I like the we saw a couple of robot umps last year and the year past where the ball had skipped in the grass and they called a strike, and you saw the player just kind of walk off because there's no one to argue with.
Nothing you can do. Register now for the Cardinals 5K. That'll be April 16th, presented by Bally Sports Midwest, including a scenic course, victory lap around the field at Busch, a pullover, and a finisher medallion featuring the great Bob Gibson. Sign up now at cardinals.com/5K. Here's Harrison Bader. Well, the numbers bear it out. When Bader and O'Neill played together and were healthy enough to be in the same lineup, this team took off. Part of that was defense and also what they did at the plate. And Harrison Bader winning his first Gold Glove a season ago.
Not a surprise.
He had 11, 4, and 5-star catches. And that's catches with probabilities of less than 50%. So the first Cardinals center fielder to win a Gold Glove since my partner today, Jimmy Edmonds, who captured 8. Kurt Flood did it, Willie McGee, Jason Hayward, and Tyler O'Neill, outfielders in recent memory. The pitch taken high to Harrison Bader, and it's 3-0.
You see the velocity a little bit higher this inning. You know, Justin Verlander kind of feeling a little bit better. I think that first inning maybe coming back, live hitting, live pitching might be a little scary after Tommy John, but a few miles an hour difference already. You see the ball's up though.
Yeah,
but he's letting it fly. Good for him. That's a good thing to see when you see a guy like this who's been around and been a staple in the league come back from Tommy John, and just hopefully he can stay healthy. It's a big presence in Major League Baseball.
3-1 pitch, and it's taken high, so a 2-out walk for Bader. One of the keys, if not the biggest key for this offense of the Cardinals, comes in the former Paul DeYoung, and trying to get him to some form or fashion of when he was the guy that was an all-star and hitting 30 home runs. Defensively, DeYoung and Sosa combined were a great pairing. I mean, if you look at the analytics, it was some of the best in baseball, but trying to get a little bit more offensively out of that position.
Well, he's very capable, and I was reading an article today where he said he needed to get out of his own head, and to be honest with you, from my personal dealings with him, I think that's the issue. He'll allow himself to go a little space and then start thinking too much instead of just trying to hit. And he gets a little, I call it, he gets a little feely with the bat, where he kind of wants to guide balls into right center, thinking I got to stay on the ball and I got to hit the ball to the right side. It's really not the guiding it to right field. It's just the thought process of letting the ball get a little deeper in the hitting zone and staying on it a little bit longer, so you don't have those swings at the sliders down and away, and you can recognize those pitches more. And I think when you start overthinking it, you really start getting into moving and dipping and kind of like feeling for the ball versus you. And if you start feeling for a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, by the time your thought process pops up, you can see a lot of fastballs getting thrown by guys, and that's just not being aggressive enough. This guy's got all the capabilities to do what he's done, and that's the 30 home runs. And he's very qualified to be a 270, 280, 290 hitter. So it's just going out there and doing that again. And maybe, you know, last year was a good thing for him. Maybe he needed to learn that it's not always going to be easy, and I'm going to have to work a little harder at certain things. You know, if you don't ever fail, you don't ever really work on stuff that one day is going to pop up. And, you know, hopefully for him, it popped up early enough where he's going to have, you know, he went home and tried to figure some things out where now he can just do it and not think.
That's it out of play, and it's 2-2. Justin Verlander, one of the players that you faced.
Yep.
You saw him in the
Not too many guys left.
World Series pitching for Detroit. Had some monster seasons, Cy Young years in Detroit.
You know that story too is after the World Series, I went to Las Vegas with some friends, and the very first night we were there, we went out to dinner, and he was sitting right next to us after the World Series.
Give him any trouble?
Oh no, I went over and talked to him and shook his hand, bought him a drink, and it was interesting. Super nice guy. Had a lot of respect for him after spending a few minutes talking to him.
It's been a remarkable run. It continues in 2022. John Mozeliak in the house. 1-0.
The course of a game, and just the way I view it, like, I don't think your ninth inning guy has to throw the ninth inning all the time. I don't think that's the smartest way to go about it. So yeah, for me, it all falls to the highest lever situation, and your best guy pitches that highest lever situation.
And that could come in the 6th or the 7th or the 8th inning. And high leverage situations, we saw Genesis Cabrera pitch in a bunch of those. Gallegos, Reyes, Cabrera all had at least 70 innings pitched a year ago. That's a lot.
That's a lot. You can see right there the only team with those guys, and you know, we saw a couple of those guys struggle towards the end, so hopefully they learned a lot from being in those situations over and over. And I think for a pitcher, especially a reliever, you have to learn how to pitch without your best stuff, and if you can do that, then you can stay successful. But if you can't go out there and not have 100% of your stuff, you're going to have trouble if you don't figure out how to overcome it.
2 balls and no strikes on the 9th place batter, Zach Daniels, as Cabrera's in relief of Adam Wainwright, who went 2 innings, was efficient in terms of his usage of the strike zone. A lot of strikes today from old Uncle Charlie. 2-0 pitch put in play, hit to the right side. Tommy Edman, 1 away. 30 pitches and 23 were strikes for Adam Wainwright. At one point, Cardinals had Trent Baker up, who was a draft choice in the 2021 season, and I kind of think that's what we may see, Jimmy, in these games, is that the clean inning, starting an inning, would be done by the veterans or those that are close to making the big league club, and then you may see the minor league guys coming in and cleaning up innings if they get out of hand.
Yeah, and you tend to see that during spring training at the end, or kind of in the middle, where, you know, if a guy struggles in an inning, you're going to see 2 guys throwing, and it usually is the younger guy that will end up sitting down if he gets through the inning, or coming in if he doesn't. And that's a great point, because you've got to take care of your big league arms right now. It's kind of unfair to say, hey, you know, this and that, but that's just the way it goes, and the big league guys take precedent, and you know, you'll get your innings down there in the minor leagues, trust me.
There's the 0-1 pitch to Pedro Leon, and that's it out of play. We just saw Skip Schumacher. For those that don't know, he is back now with the St. Louis Cardinals after his time with the Padres. Also, Cardinals have added an assistant hitting coach in Turner Ward. There's Skip there on the right. Ollie right there in the middle. Good to have Skip back in the Cardinal red. One of our favorites.
Yeah, good guy. I mean, another one of those guys that kind of had to learn a couple different positions and has a lot of knowledge because of that. And he's a hardworking guy and just a great down-to-earth, no nonsense, great guy in the clubhouse.
10+ seasons, by the way, in the big leagues.
Pretty
Made the
impressive.
transition to second base for a season. Good player. Here's a 1-2. And a breaking ball taken high. Cardinals have put together now 14 straight winning seasons. Won the World Series 06, 07, hung around but finished below 500, and then 08. Another above 500 season and haven't been below since. It's one shy of the franchise record of 15. It was interesting to hear Ollie talk about what he wants to do the back end of the bullpen, and maybe not having that traditional closer all the time. There's a strikeout, but using your high leverage guy in the 7th or the 8th, and that's many times when a ball game is won or lost.
We talked about this in the past, and my dad used to say that to me all the time, like, hey, isn't your closer the guy that should shut the game down no matter when you need it? And I thought, well, that's not a bad idea, but
you got to get to the 9th first, right?
That's not the way the game's been played for the last 100 years, but anyways. Speaking of the last 100 years, I have a birthday wish coming your way, my friend. Somebody in Rosemary Beach, Florida, sent happy birthday wishes to my partner, Danny Mack, and it was the McLaughlin family. And I got a nice text from your wife, and she said, don't forget to mention it on the air. And we're thinking about him because we're not there today, and hoping you're having the best birthday ever.
I don't know if it could be any better, Jimmy, sitting here with you, and baseball is back. Also, big happy birthday to Pam O'Fallon, who's watching the game down in Jupiter. Thanks for the birthday wishes, but the most important thing, baseball is back. See the game like an MVP with Cardinals all-inclusive tickets. You get the view from the new Freeze's Landing. And you get the UMB Champions Club, National Car Rental Club, Proficient Red Jacket Club, Cardinals.com/all-inclusive. One of the cool things the Cardinals are doing, and it ties into number 4, Yadier Molina, number 50, Adam Wainwright. But in the first couple of months, new pitcher is JP France. But the Cardinals have $4 tickets and $50 all-inclusive tickets for Monday through Thursday games in the first couple of months. But as low as $4 tickets, and then all-inclusive, which is all you can eat and drink, and that's $50. So take advantage of that.
That's like being in the green seats.
You got it.
All-inclusive. It's a pretty that's a pretty fun deal right there. All you got to do is tip your waitress.
The designated hitter is Lars Nootbaar. Now the Cardinals have made it official within the last hour or so. They signed Corey Dickerson, left-handed batter, 9 years in the big leagues. Got a 1-year deal. He's 32. And he's played with Colorado, Tampa, Pittsburgh, the Phillies, Miami, Toronto last year. He's an all-star in Tampa Bay in 2017. But Corey Dickerson now giving a very right-handed hitting lineup a left-handed presence, can play the outfield, all 3 spots, and some depth for the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think that's a great pickup right there. Left-handed hitters are a premium, obviously, but I think it'll be interesting this year with the DH to see how they kind of work guys in and out. You know, think about all of the guys on that field right now in the red are primarily National League players, and so they're used to playing every day. And so, you know, you see when we go into American League teams, or kind of like, okay, who needs the day off? Who needs the, you know, who's the DH today? And now you can kind of play with that all year long. So kind of another weapon that Ollie can use to his benefit to maybe give a guy some days off with his legs, and especially like a guy like Yadi. You know, I think that's going to benefit Yadi a lot when he doesn't have to be behind the plate for an entire game, even though he's the kind of guy that's going to want to catch and should be catching and is one of the leaders out there. But Andrew Kistner is very, very good at his job, and he's very capable of doing his job back there.
He's not thrown a strike yet. That's what you get sometimes in minor league games or in early spring training.
That's overthrowing early and trying to impress right there. You could tell by the first couple pitches he was cutting. When that ball starts cutting across, that is just a little bit out of whack and overthrowing.
Two balls and no strikes. We're in the home half of the third. Cardinals trailing by a run. Andrew Kistner, the 9th place batter today in this lineup. And that is a ball, 3-0.
Either that or maybe he has just got a natural cutter and you can't control it.
Yeah, that happens too.
A little different when a right-handed hitter gets in there and you're not too comfortable and don't really know where you want to aim the fastball.
Taken high, and that's 8 straight balls. Back-to-back walks. Top of the lineup, and Tommy Edman, who grounded back to the pitcher. The starter today, Justin Verlander. So Kisner at first, Newt Barr at second, and Tommy Edman coming to the dish. Tommy was one of only 2 National League players with 30 or more stolen bases. Trey Turner at 32, Tommy with 35, and then Fernando Tatis at 25. And that is a strike. It may be a little bit of a gift. A little smile
from everyone.
Tommy.
All right, then.
You know, it's interesting that Ali talked about what he'd do in the back end of games with his bullpen. It'll also be interesting to see what he does with his lineup. And there's been talk that he would change things up potentially. That's a good change up there.
Good change up.
With the Cardinals, in terms of fewest lineups used in 2021, you know, they were in the top 5. I mean, they didn't change a lot of different things with their lineup, and I wonder if Ollie's going to be a little different in that mindset.
Well, I don't know. That's kind of the thing you want as a player. So it'll be, you know, you're expecting it when you don't swing the bat well, but if you're playing the game well, you expect to come in kind of, you're the main guys in the lineup to just not even have to look at that lineup each and every day and just be ready to go.
I'm thinking more of like your leadoff man. You know, Kyle Schwarber was batting leadoff at one point. You know, we've seen Rizzo do that. You know, would
get
Ollie,
guys maybe some more fastballs.
Yeah, would he be along that mindset? There's Goldschmidt, who's batting second today. More times than not in his career, he's batting third or fourth. Struck out his first time up.
Well, you think about it, hits the ball to the right side a lot, just kind of like Yachty does, and I don't really like personally Molina to hit second, only because I think he, you know, the more times that he has to go back and forth, and especially in the heat and on and off the field and hitting and running and all that, I want to kind of maybe drop him down and drive in runs. But you have him who can hit behind the runner and have power, and then you also have Goldie, who hits the ball the other way really well. So you have your options, but I don't know, just for me, I just try to protect Yachty's body a little bit more as far as running him out there more than less, to be honest with you, just plain and simple. Maybe hitting him 6th or 5th, you know, just get the RBI spot because he is so talented with the bat, and you still have times where you have to hit behind runners, and but he also knows when he needs to do that and doesn't need to do that. He will drive the ball when everyone's thinking he's going to maybe try to drive the ball the other way, and he'll jump ship on you right away. You know how he likes to cheat that first pitch. So smart hitter.
2-2 the count. Runners at first and second for Goldie. Our first spring training game and telecast of 2022. We'll be televising 7 games on Bally Sports Midwest this spring. The 2-2 pitch. 3-2.
I also think that each year kind of has its own story, right? And so, you know, maybe this is the year that he's not going to try to hit the ball the other way as much. Let's say, and you got a guy like Goldie, or this year, you know, maybe DeYoung is going to work on hitting the ball. You know, you just never know who's going to be in that 2-hole hitter, or you get an older team where you just know everybody's going to do the same stuff every time they go out there, and you just can let it fly.
Ground ball that stays fair, and it turns out to be just one. Throw was up the line just a bit. It's a play that Arenado, when he's at third defensively, it's almost a given.
I was wondering if Goldie thought this was, yeah, he kind of stepped on first with the wrong foot, or stepped on third with the wrong foot.
Yeah. Not Tyler O'Neill.
Just barely in between right there, not to get a strong throw.
O'Neill grounded out to second. First time up. Runners at first and second with 2 away. 18th pitch by France, who walked the first 2 on 8 pitches to begin this inning.
J.P. France is the 14th pick out of Mississippi State.
Yep.
Love that.
Here's a 1-0.
14th round. Sorry, did I say 14th pick?
The gang is back together, if you will, Jimmy. The great Tom Mee, our director, Brian Shapiro, Brian McCann, Keith O'Brien, and his assistant, Keith Oberman. Mark Winter is back as well. And they are in mid-season form.
Oh, yes.
2 balls and a strike on Tyler O'Neill. Now our technical director is Nick Thompson, and Nick was working very hard during Billiken basketball this year. These guys are in the best shape of their lives too.
They've been working hard all winter while we've been watching TV.
3-1 pitch, and the bases will be loaded. So 3 walks in the inning, and in steps Nolan Arenado. Jimmy, excitement in game 1 of a long journey that is a season. At the bottom of the 3rd, Nolan Arenado with the bases loaded. Nowhere to put him, Jimmy.
Nowhere to put him. Could be his final at bat of this game. Maybe, maybe not.
I wonder if these guys are going to play a little bit more in these games because of this.
Still think you have to be careful the first couple days just because of the torque from doing things that you normally don't do, and that's hitting balls in the gap.
Out to center, that ball is down. 1 run is in. Here comes another. Arenado thought about going to second. He'll retreat back to the bag at first, and it's a 2-1 St. Louis lead. Nolan Arenado drives in a pair, and it's 2-1 Cardinals.
Well, it's a nice job of hitting right there. And there you go as you see him coming off the field, and that was his final at bat for the day. But got a guy that's been struggling a little bit. You have a veteran that can kind of pick a pitch, and he got a pitch to hit. Don't waste any time. Hit a strike when you can.
It's Juan Yepez, who is running for Goldschmidt, so his day is through. Kisner came in to score. Yepez to follow, and it makes it a 2-1 St. Louis lead. There's Dylan Carlson. Popped out his first time. 2 outs, runners at the corners, and swung on and missed. The switch hitter, Dylan Carlson. Brendan Donovan now running for Arenado at first. And the club very high on that young man. He's got a chance to make this team, along with Yepez and maybe a Nolan Gorman. Part of that will be whether or not rosters are expanded in the beginning of the season. Maybe you go to 28 to protect pitchers specifically as the ball gets away, but O'Neill will stay at third, Donovan to second base. I would think that GMs and president of baseball operations across Major League Baseball would be concerned about that, especially trying to cover innings early in these games. You know, maybe add a couple of pitchers and protect your assets.
Well, that always seems to be the topic of conversation at the beginning of the year, and it's
especially this year with a shortened spring.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where if you don't, you better be ready to figure out how to manipulate the up and down of the AAA and big league roster of who you can and cannot bring up. And you know, if you have some guys down there you can trust, then you can kind of play with it a little bit. But there's only 1 or 2 guys down there. I believe you got to send them down for a little bit longer than you want to, and so then it becomes a little tricky.
Two and 2 the count. Taken just a bit high. Runs full. And France now at 27 pitches in this inning. Three-two pitch. Carlson rips it to the right side. And the final out. Arenado with 2 outs and the bases loaded drives in a pair, and it's 2-1 Cardinals. And step up your pregame routine with The Rally. Your favorite athletes and the top insiders in sports bring you an all-new experience. Watch The Rally every weekday at 4 right here on Bally Sports Midwest. Key pickup for the Cardinals last year in their run in the second half was TJ McFarland. Really a ground ball specialist, threw strikes when the Cardinals needed it most. They needed to find pitchers that literally just throw it over the plate, get some strikes, and this guy did it. Really good sinker. I thought the play of the year, and there was a bunch of them, but TJ McFarland was on the mound when the Cardinals got that epic double play at Wrigley Field last year.
There you go.
There's your ground ball taken there by Tommy Edman, and the first out.
And I'm thinking too, I remember doing a game with you last year, and I think we talked about something like this at a time where he had gotten like 7 games in a row where he had gotten that ground ball double play, and it couldn't come at a more perfect time.
Yes. This was just remarkable. Harrison Bader would be a part of this.
This is the way you draw it up, but we'll take it. Look at Yachty.
Look at Tyler O'Neill with his hands on his hips and the hat off, just taking it in. It was incredible. You'll never, I don't think you're ever going to see a double play like that.
It was almost as good as that one in Pittsburgh in Chicago, wasn't it? Where Javi Baez ran all the way back to the plate.
Oh, that was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, in Pittsburgh, and ended up going to first, and they were a little confused on that one too. I think a couple times in Pittsburgh last year I saw some funny stuff going on. But no, back to McFarland. Like I said, I think it was like one of those running jokes where they bring him in and say, well, can he do it again? And click, there it was. And here it goes again.
That's Yepez to McFarland. Could have taken that himself, it looked like. Closer than it needed to be, but the out.
Got to get the work in. A little PFP.
You got it.
Get over there, catch the ball, step on the bag.
Yepez is at first, and Donovan, who can play all over the infield, is at third. And the new pitcher is McFarland.
Come on, Corey, get it.
So 2 outs. 2 ground ball outs in a 2-1 game for St. Louis in their favor here in the top of the 4th. Cardinals have added as well, but Aaron Brooks. Big pickup was Steven Matz. He'll go in game 3. Drew Verhagen, who was pitching in the KBO and does have major league experience with Detroit. He's come to St. Louis now. Nick Whitgren as well. And TJ McFarland is back.
You know, it's interesting with McFarland as you think about it. Not a lot of lefties throw sinkers.
No.
So when you get that good sinker from a lefty, if he throws strikes, no different than a righty. Guys are just going to roll over the ball.
Out to left and making the catch.
Off the end of the bat.
2-1 St. Louis. Well, we mentioned that Skip Schumacher and Turner Ward added to the coaching staff. Back for another year, though. There's Mike Maddox, the pitching coach of the St. Louis Cardinals, and TJ McFarland. Coming off the field, maybe Mike Maddox picks up a thing or two and says, hey, number one, how did you feel? But also, I'm seeing this or I'm seeing that.
Yeah, and I also think, too, like, I noticed that McFarland coming off the field shaking his head because he gave up the fly ball. But that's a positive in itself because of what I said at the end of the inning. It was balls off the end of the bat, and that's okay. If a guy's going to try to lift the ground ball, he's going to get himself out by hitting the ball off the end of the bat. So don't necessarily take that as a negative. You know, you're looking for non-solid contact. It always can't always be on the ground, and I thought that was a pretty impressive inning right there.
Harrison Bader walked his first time up. France in his second inning of work, breaking ball and a beauty in there. Making the catch to end the top of the fourth was Alec Burleson. Cardinals very high on him, so you're going to get a look at Burleson, Donovan, Yepez. For those that are thinking about some of the top prospects for the Cardinals, they are in there now. Looking forward to seeing them come to the plate. Bader lifts it into shallow left, and the catch is made.
And also, I think sometimes the part of being a good coach is keeping everyone in a positive mood. You know, like, hey, that's a great job, even though you can see him a little flustered, a little frustrated, but you can't allow that to happen, especially after a nice 1-2-3 inning.
Matthew Liberatore, Cardinals minor league pitcher of the year, had a very good second half to his minor league season last year. Is getting loose in the St. Louis bullpen, and here's Paul DeYoung, struck out his first time up. Excited to see Matthew at just a tremendous second half. Kind of it all came together in that second half. We mentioned before how some of these guys have made big jumps in the minor leagues, and Matthew has done that as DeYoung picks up a base hit into left. 1 for 2 today.
It's a good job right there. The ball looked like it was kind of a cutter going away, and just stay on it.
Lars Nootbaar coming to the plate. Baseball got away from Cardinal bullpen, so a little stoppage in play there, which happens in spring training.
That's going to happen a lot.
Yes, sir.
Especially the angle of the bullpen with the catcher's back to home plate. You see some balls flying by the catcher and the hitter during the middle of an inning sometimes.
Nootbaar looks at a changeup and a strike. We saw him make his major league debut last year. It happened against the Detroit Tigers. And one of the things he did as a young player, as a rookie, was pinch hit well. Had pretty good numbers as a pinch hitter. That's it out of play.
I think that the thing that sets him apart, especially pinch hitting, is the fact that he's got kind of a short swing and not a lot of air in that swing. So it's basically going to put the ball in play. A lot of guys that don't pinch hit well maybe have a bigger swing, strike out a lot. This guy doesn't do a lot of striking out. He did a nice job last year, and he's got a really compact swing and some power to go along with it.
And the 0-2. Cardinals last year had over 1,200 plate appearances from rookies, and that was the most they had had since 1999. You had Carlson, who is still technically a rookie, Edmundo Sosa, Justin Williams, and Lars Nootbaar. And the last time they had that many guys, rookies, with that total of plate appearances, J.D. Drew, Placido Polanco, Joe McEwing, and Adam Kennedy in 1999.
It's the year before I got here.
Yep. 2 away. McDonald's Ticket Fest is back, and it celebrates the legendary Cardinals battery mates, Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina. Limited time. You can purchase tickets for April and May games as low as $4 or supersize your experience. All-inclusive tickets at $50. Cardinals.com/ticketfest. $4 tickets. Here's Kisner and a strike.
It's almost like a Happy Meal.
It's still the most affordable sport in all the major professional sports. You can go to the ball game for $4. is lifted in the air, out to deep left, and adios. A home run for Kisner as it stayed fair down the left field line. A hanging breaking ball, and he blasted it.
Tell you what, that's a good feeling right there, especially for a guy who's a backup catcher. When your starter is not in camp and he is all
and the 0-1 is
over
lifted
this.
in the air, out to deep left, and adios.
What a call.
Oh, thanks, Jimmy.
What a call.
The first of the season.
Wow.
Of many.
You almost came out of your chair, which I love it.
Andrew Kisner with a home run and a pitching change coming up. So the 2-run homer hit by Andrew Kisner to make it a 4-1 ball game in favor of St. Louis. New pitcher is in, and a new batter as well. That's Nolan Gorman. He is going to pinch hit for Tommy Edman and take over at second base. So you get a lefty-lefty matchup here early in spring.
And not what you're looking for if you're Gorman, but you'll take it.
Can he do enough this spring to make this team? Or do they feel with the addition of Dickerson that is your primary DH? And then, as you said, you can give guys days off. They become a DH. Do you want Nolan Gorman to be a part of the big league club and primarily be a bat as opposed to being, for lack of a better term, a two-way player, playing defense and what he can do at the plate?
Well, I'll tell you
He's
what.
so young.
I'll tell you what. A couple years ago, I would say that he probably doesn't have a shot to make this roster. Now, I think he does. I think you can do a bunch of things where you can get him some at-bats. You can give some time off to some of the guys that are out there on the field and give him some playing time on the field. And you can move guys around, where before you're not going to really give time off to, say, Nolan Arenado or someone like that.
And
but this guy can hit.
Fly ball into center, and Gorman retired from
And the wind is blowing in from
Yep.
right center field 10 miles an hour today, so that ball's hit pretty good.
Well, you got some top prospects now in the ball game for St. Louis. Juan Yepez on the left at first base, and then Matthew Liberatore. And they are the minor league players and pitchers of the year here. You see the Liberatore, Yepez, Jordan Walker, who I cannot wait to see. I mean, I've heard so much about Jordan Walker. Yepez, they're pictured in the center, remember, was added to the 40-man roster at the end of last season for the playoff game. And Matthew Liberatore came over from Tampa Bay. So much has been put on his shoulders because of how the trade went the other way and what Tampa Bay got. Pretty darn good player. Liberatore season last year, remember, he jumped from A-ball to Triple-A, and really it was a tale of two different seasons. Slow start, second half, he figured some things out. Good off-speed pitch. And one of the things he's going to have to do is that pitch right there, which is a changeup to neutralize what a right-handed batter can do against him. We know about the breaking ball. He's downhill, 92, 95, tall kid.
He's throwing hard right now, too, 96, 97.
But if you work on that changeup, he gave up 17 home runs to right-handed batters last year. So that changeup can neutralize that.
Well, that's what's going to happen, too, if you throw a lot of fastballs and you miss down the plate, down the middle. And we saw that a lot in the big leagues last year and the year before. But hit your spots and mix in a couple of good breaking balls, you're going to have some success.
Led the Cardinals minor leaguers in innings pitched, and with the situation with Reyes and Flaherty, not knowing about the rotation specifically, do you add pitching potentially with expanded rosters? I mean, Matthew Liberatore is right there. I mean, he could break north with the club. What's amazing is that we've heard so much about him, Jimmy. He only has 235 innings of professional baseball. Out to deep right, And a one-hopper over the wall and a ground rule double. Scott Hurst is into the ball game. Connor Capel is in right. Norman stays in. Nolan Gorman stays in at second base. Scott Hurst is in center. Edmundo Sosa is at short. So Kissinger, the one-out double, opposite way.
Nice swing right there by Gray Kissinger. You know, that's good hitting right there. You look and see what the guy did to the hitter before, and you saw a couple fastballs up and away, and then tell yourself, I got to stay on this lefty throwing hard, and nice job.
A swing and a miss, and strike one.
I don't know right there if that's kind of a slider right there that he picked up, or if that's the changeup. Kind of hard to tell right away, but that's what he needs to do. It's to keep the ball down and change speeds and use that fastball to get the strikeout up there.
Little flare out to center, and that'll drop right in front of Hurst, and it's runners at first and third. Make a good pitch, and sometimes that happens.
That's not fun right there. You did make a good pitch, and with that wind blowing in, you'd hope to see maybe somebody would get to that ball, but that ball just kept dying on the center fielder Hurst, and he's pretty deep out there for the wind blowing in. He got a good jump too. It just could not get there.
So runners at the corners, and there's just one out. Mentioned the velocity. He was consistently around 92, 95 last year. And as you talked about here, he's been around 96, 97.
He's first day.
Yeah. Amped up.
A little amped up. Want to impress.
Runners at first and third. Infield is in a step or two as we play here at the top of 5.
There you go.
The ballpark is about what, 7-8 miles from the ocean, so you do get those days where it's going to blow in and it becomes a very tough hitter's ballpark.
You probably get more days in Jupiter of the wind blowing in hard than you would get of it blowing out, especially at this time of the year. I think it feels like it's blowing every day, and then once a week you get that day where the wind will shift and batting practice becomes how far can you hit it.
Right.
But that doesn't happen very often.
One ball and one strike. Outfield is fairly shallow as well.
That year in 2003 when Tino Martinez came over, he was a pull fly ball hitter. He hit a lot of fly balls that should have been home runs. He probably would have had 10 or 12 home runs in spring, and they all just kept dying at the track. And Eduardo Perez was there, and Eduardo is the ultimate team player, and he kept saying, like, that's a good swing, stay with it, that's a home run, you know, that's a home run, that'd have been a home run spring training, you know, whatever, in Yankee Stadium, kind of just having a good time. Finally Tino had enough, and he was like, stop, I can't take it.
Yeah,
because the wind blows in every day, and for a left-handed pull hitter, it is a nightmare. And so you know, you have to deal with that. But if you can keep your cool about it and just take your game on to the next level, when you get to the start of the season, you'll be fine.
and the 2-1 lifted in the air down the right field line. Catch made by Capel. Runner tags from third to cut the lead now to 4-2. 4-2 ball game.
You hear the, I don't know if you can hear the microphone at home, but you can hear Dusty Baker saying, try it, try it, try it. And he wants to see his guys be aggressive and try to tag up on plays like that.
Kind of a transition year in one respect for Houston because of Carlos Correa.
Yeah, you lose a lot when you lose a guy like that.
Yeah. And he got him, picked him off. Nice move by Liberatore. Oh, they're going to call a balk. So balk was called.
It's early for spring training for the umpires, too.
Yeah, look at that front leg.
Yeah, a little bit too much towards home plate, but I think maybe he's out either way. If he'd have just stepped towards first a little bit more, he still had him.
When you get that 45-degree angle and you break that plane, you go towards the plate. You have to commit to the plate, and I think it's a right call.
That was a good call right there. It's, you know, the difference, too, isn't very much. You know, if you kind of just step towards first just a little bit more, he's got a shot. And
Andy Pettit made a living out of that.
Ooh, it was scary. He couldn't tell.
No. One ball and one strike.
I remember early on there would be guys saying, hey, don't even get a lead. Don't get a lead. Just stand over there, and if you can stay still, and if he throws over, just take a step and step on the bag. Don't try it.
Kept in front by Kisner. Nice play.
Great play right there by Andrew. Textbook right here. Look at this. He gets around it, keeps it in front of him, and then right at his feet. Don't know where that slider is going to go.
The 2-1 pitch, and it's 2-2. Cardinals got their runs on a Kisner 2-run blast. Nolan Arenado drove in a pair with the bases loaded and a single. It's now a 4-2 ball game here in the top of 5 in the start of the Grapefruit League down in Florida. The 2-2 pitch, Matthew Liberatore. Just a bit high. And the 3-2. Fouled back. So right now on the field for the Cardinals, Donovan at third, Sosa at short, Gorman at second, Yepez is at first, Alec Burleson is in left, Hurst, we saw him in the big leagues last year, in center, Capel is in right, and Kisner behind the plate. So the regulars got a few at bats, and some head to the beach, golf, or to work out. A strikeout for Matthew Liberatore. The great Dusty Baker still doing it in 2022. Cardinals spring training coverage continues on Bally Sports Midwest. That'll be Tuesday, our next televised game. Cardinals and Marlins at noon. And Cardinals spring training right here on Bally Sports Midwest. There's a look at our Budweiser What's on Tap, the upcoming spring training schedule. So Tuesday, we've got it for you. The Marlins. You see at the bottom of some of those boxes, Jimmy, it says Bally Sports Midwest. That's when we're televising.
That's us.
That's right. So we'll make sure you understood that.
Well, that's us right there.
All right, Juan Yepez.
And that's not the rest of the schedule, by the way. That is just this month.
That's correct, buddy.
Just letting you know. Just making sure you're on the ball and
I am
along
on
with everyone else.
Yepez looks at a strike on the outside corner. Probably a first baseman, but going to be tough to find playing time with Paul Goldschmidt there. So could he be your designated hitter or coming off the bench? Pinch hitter. He's got pop. Juan Yepez. Again, added at the end of last season to the Cardinals postseason roster, but did not appear. And he taps that foul. 0-2.
There you go. Speaking of Pop
Warner.
Ron Warner. Hello there, sir. I wonder how long he's been in this organization. Man, 25, almost 30 years by now. 25 for sure.
Ron Pop Warner in the late 1990s was added to Tony La Russa's staff. I remember traveling when Pop was a part of the staff, and they brought him in 1999, I believe it was. He was traveling with us. There's a swing and a miss because they knew that coaching and managing was going to be his future. Stubby Clapp back again at first base, but Ron was a guy that they knew would be a coach or a manager at some point, and so they wanted to get him experience around that staff, and he's another disciple of George Kissel.
And I think that might have been around one of the years that I was there, so 99, 2000, but I also think he was a coach at that point already, at that early on, maybe A-ball, rookie ball. So I'm saying that that's been 22 years since I've been here. So I'm thinking he's been in the organization at least 3 or 4 years before that. So I think he's been around a long time.
This is Alec Burleson.
He's going to be health being the issue. He's going to be chasing down Kissel one of these days with how many years he was in the organization.
Burleson, a hot shot to first, and that's handled for the second out. Every year there is a very important award handed out, prestigious award in the Cardinals organization, and that's the George Kissel Award, and that's been handed out since 2008, and they're selected by a poll of the Cardinals minor league field staff and presented to those that have exhibited traits like George Kissel in the Cardinals player development, and Dr. Robert Butler and minor league pitching coordinator Tim Levesque recently given that award. And that means an awful lot to those guys that are in the minor leagues and riding those buses and getting the recognition they deserve.
Yeah, those buses are no joke. No joke. Sleep when you can.
There's Brendan Donovan, and that's taken low, 3-0. Big shift on the right side.
How about the Braves? I know it's a little early, but the Braves have gone 6 innings of no-hit ball for their pitchers so far. Pretty nice start to the season for the pitching staff of the Atlanta Braves, with only 2 guys. 3 innings each.
Donovan draws the walk. He played 6 different positions over the course of last season. Probably a utility guy, and they like him. Speaking of the Braves, it's going to be odd seeing them come through town or going to Atlanta and not seeing Freddie Freeman.
No kidding. I don't know if that's I don't know what do you do there with you have the young versus old situation, but how do you give up your cornerstone? And then I saw today on TV that he showed up in basically not Dodger Town, but Dodger Town, Dodger spring training in a suit and his glove in his hand, ready to go. Looked very, very dapper.
His manager said, "Hey, bro, this is L.A. You don't need that suit." Dave Roberts told him that.
Did he?
Yeah.
It looked good, though.
There's Sosa.
Maybe he's expecting the press conference today, you know? Looks good. He's an older guy, not old, but older guy. With a little respect for the game.
The Braves wasted no time. I mean, they went out and got Matt Olson, and great player. Edmundo Sosa had a breakout season last year. It was big down the stretch for the Cardinals. And you see it after July 1st, getting all that playing time, and he made the most of it. Really good player. Tardy with that swing and a strikeout of Sosa.
Backup slider right there.
We head to the 6th. St. Louis on top. St. Louis Cardinals baseball brought to you by Great Southern Bank, understanding what really matters. By CarShield. CarShield, cars go farther. And brought to you by Plaza Tire Service. Second inning for Matthew Liberatore and a strike. Cardinals leading 4-2. Baseball is back, and we are thankful that it is. There's a foul ball. Stadium's at 100% capacity. Remember this time last year we were
man,
seeing a maybe a half full Roger Dean Stadium, and then opening day was limited. It was like 15 or 20% capacity. On the ground, Sosa charging and got him.
Wow, that was close. Well, it's nice that the first game of the spring happened to fall during a little bit of spring break, so
yep,
extra crowd there for the first game of the year. I believe that this young man was running a little bit better down the line than Sosa imagined.
Jimmy clearly out. No problems there.
Clearly.
No replay in spring training baseball.
You.
And the 1-0 by Liberatore. 1 ball and 1 strike. So opening day, again, if you're just joining us, already over 40,000 tickets sold, but tickets as low as $30 to head to one of the great traditions in St. Louis, and that's opening day. We're expecting every Hall of Famer to be in attendance as well. Cardinal Hall of Famer or MLB Hall of Famer. There's a strikeout for Liberatore, his second. Speaking of the Hall of Fame ballot is out right now, presented by Edward Jones through April 15th, and you can cast your vote. Deserving player from another great field of candidates. Cardinals.com/HOF added this year. One Matt Holliday.
You can throw them all on there. It's a pretty good group right there.
There you go.
Hall of Famers will be back on the field as well. You'll be in your red jacket. And then are you
double duty
racing up to the booth?
Oh yes. Wouldn't have it any other way.
Love opening day in St. Louis. It's the best. There they are, the candidates. Steve Carlton, George Hendricks, Silent George on there, Matt Holliday, Matt Morris, Edgar Renteria. Lee Smith off the ballot, but that's not to say he can't come back on the ballot, which he will in future years.
That shortstop was one of my favorite players right there, Edgar Renteria. So talented, so underrated. Such a great teammate and a gamer.
The 2-1 pitch. And it's now 2-2. You have any idea what he's doing now?
I haven't talked to him in a long time. I've tried. Changed his phone number. I heard he's been back in Colombia helping out people.
That's what I heard as well.
And I don't know if he sold his place in Florida or not.
It's Ali Sanchez hopping on that baseball, and initially looked to be a foul ball. Instead, they said play ball. And that's what we're doing today. 4-2 St. Louis. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Cardinals, not to be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Skip Schumacher, he's going to get a nice ovation on opening day. You know that.
He might get a bigger one than the players.
Fan favorite back. And he wears the uniform. See how he's wearing the uniform there, Jimmy, with the
high
stirrups?
socks.
I like that. Wears it right.
He was always a high sock guy. He always wore his pants like that when he played.
I like that look.
You know, when I first got here, it was when everyone was wearing just regular socks because it was more comfortable instead of the stirrups. And they didn't have the 2-in-1s. Basically, you either had to wear socks and you had to wear long pants, or you had to wear the stirrups that they provided. Well, a couple guys got a little carried away and went high sock Sunday with just their red socks, and immediately drew a little attention from the upper management. And were pull your pants down or change your socks right away. There would be to be shown the stripes or no socks at all. But I thought was kind of a little bit unusual, and then I learned really quick how much respect goes into wearing that uniform.
It's a big deal. As it should be.
Yeah. Those are just things that you just kind of take for granted as a player, and especially if you hadn't been in this organization for a while. And look at that 2000 team. There was a lot of newcomers, and they were introduced to the tradition of the striped socks very quickly.
Hurst flies to center, and now Lars Nootbaar. And he pulls it foul.
There's that short swing right there, Danny.
Well, it was also when you're introduced to Cardinal baseball for the first time at this time of year. There's Aaron Brooks throwing, and there's what you're talking about. That look by Lars Nootbaar. You were introduced to Lou Brock and Bob Gibson and Bruce Sutter, Ozzie Smith, the Hall of Famers that make their way south to Jupiter, which is always, I think, something for when new players come to the organization and they see that. It is eye-popping. To be introduced to these guys.
And I think that's the one thing that we've been missing for the last couple of years because of COVID and kind of the change of hands with the managers and a little bit of everything. But yeah, I think that's the one thing I hear a lot of the guys talk about is when are you coming down, or where's everybody hiding, or what's going on. So interesting to see how that turns around here now that things are starting to get back to normal.
1-2 pitch in the dirt, and it's 2-2.
So that's a great take right there, because he has such a short swing and he's not afraid to get a fastball inside and not get beat by it. He can take pitches like that where a guy with a little bit longer swing will try to get going a little bit earlier and will not be able to hold up on something like that where he can get to it or he can take it.
Well, you're right. He really does have a short, very short, compact swing.
And you know what? You have to, because that's a really good slider that he laid off. But that ball looks like, if that's a cutter or sorry, a breaking ball, but that's a cutter or a slider, and you take it that long, you got no chance to get to it. And he can stay there that long and have confidence to take that pitch. There it is right there, and that's a tough pitch to lay off. That's the pitch that you're looking for as a pitcher, where the other one had more break that you can recognize. So good adjustment and tough at bat right there for Newt.
Embrace culture. In other words, we are about winning. That's our culture. And so, you're either part of that and embracing that, or you're probably going to get pushed out. And so, whenever you're addressing a group of that size, and especially some people that maybe are not familiar with what expectations are here, I think that resonated. In other words, it wasn't complicated. It was very simple, to the point, and take advantage of what we have here. But know that we're not looking for distractions. We're looking for people to appreciate and embrace our culture.
New pitcher in is Aaron Brooks. That was John Mozeliak, and what Ali had to say in addressing the team the other day. It was just a week ago yesterday, the CBA came to an agreement, and then players had to be in camp by Sunday night, Monday morning, going through the medicals, the various things, the physicals, getting updates on where they were at in the offseason for guys that were injured. Brooks is a sinker baller guy, and that's a good example there. Gets the out. So then he addressed the team, and it was off and running. A few workouts, and let's go. My question to you, Jim, and you played, 2 decades of professional baseball. And I mean this as a sincere question. I've been thinking about this. Ali is 35 years old. And the respect that a guy like Tony La Russa had when you walk in, and it's probably not a good example, but I think you're going to understand where I'm going here. Tony immediately had respect because of his resume. He's kind of a larger-than-life personality. Had won, and guys knew he knew what he was doing. And with Ali being 35 and it's your first managerial job, how do you get the respect of even players that are older than you, Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina? You know what I mean? It's kind of the fine line that you walk.
Well, I think the good thing is when you get a guy like Ollie, he's been around for a little bit, and he knows a lot of these guys. And you know what I like about Ollie? He's pretty down to earth and he's pretty good at communication. He's very sincere. He knows the game. He picks his spots. He's not a yeller. He's not an excitable guy. But he's the kind of guy that will tap you on the shoulder and be like, hey, you can't do that. And he's not going to hold back. And I just think that you know, obviously out of 40 guys out there, there's going to be a guy or two that might not like him, and probably because they don't get to play. But from what I notice, and even from my dealings with him, I love him. I think he's great. He's easygoing. He's very, very smart. He's very, you know, he's got all the bases covered, and then he's got a good crew to work with, and I think they all like him. And if you played for him and been around him, you'd like him too. And I think that that's a good opening for him. Now, if a guy like Ollie is coming into the organization for the first time, that might be tough. You know, you get a new manager that's young and you don't know anything about him and he doesn't have a resume and he wasn't much of a player, that's tough. I think that would be a different scenario.
I'd also say this. He knows this organization, having played here and obviously as a bench coach. And you bring up a great point. With a shortened spring training, if you were asked to come in a new organization and learn players, it'd be awfully tough. That's not the case with Ollie Marmol. 4-2 Cardinals, and it's time to stretch here on Valley Sports Midwest. 2021 marked the 50th and final season of Mike Shannon's career. And on Sunday, April 10th, Cardinals host the Pirates. 25,000 fans, ages 16 and older, take home a one-of-a-kind Mike Shannon bobblehead. And it's thanks to Phillips 66. Cardinals.com/promotions. My understanding is Mike is down there in spring training. Just hanging out, taking it all in.
Get some sunshine.
A little golf, a little fishing. Ali Sanchez looks at a strike. Yeah, our pregame visits with Mike were always unique and special.
I remember when I first started doing this job, pre and post, and Pat Paris would like, we got Mike Shannon today for pregame. And then, you know, we'd get really close to pregame, and he'd be like, all right, we're going to Mike Shannon next. You got any questions for him? I'm like, nope. I didn't say nothing.
Well, then you had to find Mike Shannon.
Yeah, but I was like, I'm not saying anything.
I can't tell you how many times I had to go to the booth. Mike, where are you? Let's go.
Oh, man. It was
He'll
awesome.
still be a presence at the ballpark, undoubtedly. Here's Nolan Gorman, who flied to deep center his first time up.
Hopefully, so we can get some of that food in his booth.
You know, for a guy that keeps himself in the condition you do, and you are
a shark, an eating machine.
You are an eating machine. I've never seen anything like it.
You got to eat to stay in shape, I guess.
But you're very concerned about your meals. Very concerned.
Well, I just don't want to shortchange you with the energy, so I got to bring some food.
Try the coffee.
Run out of gas, and you've heard the word hangry, right? Well, that's I don't want to be in that situation come the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. So
I've been on the other side of that with you. It's not fun as Gorman strikes out.
I'm very lucky to have staying out of that situation now. Thank you. Got a wonderful lady at home who's keeping me straight and on the straight and up and up. And
that's adorable, Jimmy. Just adorable.
Yeah. Not allowed to be hangry anymore. So you can thank her if you want.
Had a nice conversation with your significant other today.
Yes. And likewise with yours.
Yes.
Speaking of, happy birthday to you again, as your lovely wife was wishing you happy birthday from Rosemary Beach, and wanted to make sure that I let everyone know it's your birthday, but she really wanted to make sure that your kids and her wished you a nice birthday today, and I thought that was kind of cool.
It's very nice.
So I wanted to make sure that she got her wishes across, and that's the second time, just in case you just joined us. It is Danny Mac's birthday today, and
let me tell you something.
I've been saving my wishes for the game because I thought, you know, pregame, nobody's going to hear me, and happy birthday.
Well, we didn't have a pregame, Jim.
Well, I meant like before the game, in the office.
I got you. Well, thank you very much. No better way to spend it than with you and talking baseball.
Right here at the ballpark. Well, maybe not.
Well, we do have a lot of fans that are wondering if we're going to be on the road this year. And we are. We're going to be in Jupiter next week, and we'll be traveling with the team this year on road games. And so we will be with the club as In 2020, it was just, hey, let's get on the air and present baseball any way we can. And last year, same thing with the pandemic going on and restrictions. So we were in studio, which was fine. And I think we did, our crew did an amazing job. I mean, it is not easy. And they just did a remarkable job. And so we'll be back on the road this year with the club. And it's going to feel normal again.
Well, there's a lot of positives coming out of today with baseball starting again. We get to do this game from this beautiful studio. You know, you're going to have Brad next week for a couple of days before I come down to Florida, but the fact that we actually got to stay home today to do this glorious game from here in St. Louis, I get to watch my son's very first high school baseball game today. Awesome. And I am fired up for him.
I hope it doesn't get rained out.
Me neither. It's supposed to stop raining for a little bit back and forth, but the only drawback today is I think he's playing on a field, one of the very few left, with natural grass.
Natural grass,
and of course, but I'll get to see one of the first couple
That's great.
This week, and so I'm pretty fired up for him.
Should be. This is Alec Burleson, who grounded out his first time up, and we're seeing some of the very top prospects and guys that have been mentioned as potential players to come north, and this is one of them. And I mentioned earlier, I really hope at some point we get to do a game and Jordan Walker is in that game. Somebody told me the other day, Jimmy, that the Cardinals in their time with the organization, the best hitters that they've seen drafted and developed by the Cardinals, and that's Burleson going the other way. Oof. And it is a foul ball, but or is it a ground rule double?
We don't know yet.
So I'm going to say it's a foul ball, but they said Albert Pujols clearly was the best that came through. Oscar Taveras was number 2. And then 2 years ago, they thought this Jordan Walker kid is number 3. Now they've said he's number 2. They said he's that good. And apparently, by all accounts, just a great kid. He's a big kid, too. 6'5", 220 pounds, can play third base. Big arm, good defensively. But every level they pushed him to, he's responded. I mean, you know, they can't get him out, and he's hitting rockets everywhere. So I'm really excited to see in a big league matchup maybe what he does in handling big league pitching, and that's the fun of spring training, to see some of those matchups.
Well, I think that if you do well at once you start to get the AA level down,
and I would think he's at AA this year.
And you get to AA and you can have some success there, you can play at this level. It's all about allowing yourself not to get psyched out, because you know a lot of the very, very good prospects in every organization are kind of at AA when they're young, especially, and that AAA is kind of that floater level where you're gonna have your good prospects, but you know, a lot of those guys are going up and down, and so you want your prospects to play every day and pitch every day, and you don't want to get that interrupted by, you know, the Memphis Mafia, so to speak, or the bus rides going up and down. So the AA level is pretty tough.
Baseball on Valley Sports Midwest, brought to you by Great Southern Bank, understanding what really matters. By Shelter Insurance, for your home, auto, and life. We're your shield, we're your shelter. And by Budweiser, this Bud's for you. It's a quick inning for Aaron Brooks, so he's still out there for St. Louis, the right-hander. Spring training baseball from Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida. First pitch when the Cardinals got to Roger Dean was delivered by one Cliff Polite. St. Louisan that grew up loving the St. Louis Cardinals. Vianney High School's Cliff Polite had a very good major league career.
Ran into him a couple times over the last couple years coaching his son, playing against Landon. Pretty fun to watch, these young kids playing of the ex-major leaguers. It's pretty cool to see the guys still around and kind of sitting around, hanging out, and watching their kids play.
I think I'm noticing here about Brooks, pretty good sinking action, and that's one of the reasons they signed him. I think the mindset of the organization has been, let's bring in guys that not only throw strikes, because of the issues they had last year. But if you can get ground balls with the infield that will be out there every day, you are going to have success.
Yeah, look at this two-seamer right here running back, and you can see it's got that combination of a little bit of a short arm, but getting the arm up, where he doesn't have a lot of length in his delivery, but that getting on top of that short arm angle is that ball that just goes straight down. Good sinker. Wow, it's interesting right here. He went through every pitch twice, and he shook all the way through.
Does bring up a point we talk about sometimes, how if you're the pitcher, ultimately it's on you. Yep. So you have the confidence of what you want to throw. I don't like that in the high school game, and I don't like it in the college game. And I know we talk a lot about you're watching Little League baseball all the time, and now your son's getting older, but the pitches are then brought in through signals from the dugout, and I just don't know if that's right. And I also have talked to, then as you go to the pro game, how sometimes a college catcher,
you've seen it on TV already.
Doesn't know how to call a game.
Yeah, you're seeing it on TV right now. Guys are already wearing little wristbands and sequences, and they're doing that at the college level. And you're right, you got to learn for yourself. And I think that's one of the key things. I think it's funny when you go watch a younger group of kids playing, and they got a coach out there that doesn't want to give anything away, but he's hollering out numbers. And by about the third or fourth time he's hollering out the numbers, I'm like, all right, I know when everything's coming. If you have a dad that can figure that stuff out, I'm like, hey, here comes the breaking ball, Landon.
Well, you used to be able to figure it out by just watching guys too. I mean, you were still incredible at that.
I just think it's funny, you know, because I still think it's important. I love when the catcher's calling the game, pitcher's shaking people off, or even if the catcher has an idea. One of the two have to learn the game at an early age, and you'd like it to be both, but you know, as long as one of the kids are learning and having the confidence to call pitches, I think that's a great start.
Well, one of the favorite stories I have of my partner, we were in, I think it was Philly, and you said, Dan, this inning, and I'm not going to say who the Cardinal pitcher was, but you could pick him up very easily, and you picked up the opposition. You said, this inning, just read some promos or do something, but I'm going to tell you every pitch that's coming. You had 43 of the 44 in the inning before they came. You were telling me. Well, you didn't like the call on a pitch that was up, but it goes Brooks' way.
Neither did Dusty.
Theme tickets on sale now. We've got Friends Night, Star Wars Night, Margaritaville Night, Grateful Dead Night, many more. Cardinals.com/theme. They've also, at the ballpark, converted Homer's Landing to Freeze's Landing, where that famous home run in Game 6 of 2011 landed. So that has been converted to Freeze's Landing. There's a lot of things happening with that throughout the season. And a lot of the promotional giveaways will be geared around Yadier Molina, which is supposed to be his final year. I'll believe it when I see it. And Adam Wainwright. So you got that historic battery. And then also, it's an anniversary of one of the great clubs in Cardinals history, 1982. So you'll see a lot with 82 and Yadi and Waino this year. The 1-1 pitch. Pulled foul. This has been a very good outing for Brooks, trying to make this club, and he may have a shot.
Blown about 90% strikes so far.
Another strikeout. 2 scoreless innings and a bunch of strikeouts. Trying to make this club, and it's 4-2. And then came back with 4 runs, 2 of them on one swing of the bat, and the home run to hit there. Budweiser play of the game off the bat of Andrew Kisner in his first of the spring.
Hanging breaking ball. It's a good one.
4-2 our score as we move to the home half of the 8th inning. Report from Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic. Free agent infielder Matt Carpenter in agreement with the Rangers on a minor league deal. He had offers for a major league deal from at least one other club, according to Ken's report, but decided to bet on himself. A chance to play at home in Texas.
It's not a bad idea. Good place to hit, too.
It was Brendan Donovan who walked his first time up. There was an extensive piece done a few weeks ago by Ken Rosenthal in The Athletic about Carpenter and getting together with Joey Votto, Matt Holliday, and just went all over the place, all over the country to talk about hitting and try to get him right. As the last couple of years were obviously un-Carpenter-like, and he'll go down, though, in my mind, is truly a great Cardinal. He had a very, very good Cardinal career. But last couple of years, tough. The old shift wasn't kind to him either.
Nope. That got him pretty good. He got locked into pulling the ball and couldn't get away from it.
Now, speaking of Joey Votto, who's going to hit around Joey Votto? Reds traded away
both guys.
I mean, Jesse Winker's a great player. We saw that against the Cardinals. Eugenio Suarez had a 50 home run season.
Both guys around him were gone.
Tucker Barnhart no longer there. They traded Amir Garrett. Now they've got Moustakas, but I mean, for Votto, I guess the choice, first of all, you got to be wanted by other teams, but does he want to say, I want to finish my career as a Cincinnati Red? And he's got a chance to set all the, most of the all-time records in Reds history. And if that's important to him, or does he want to go to a place and go win? It's going to be very tough for them to win this year, I would imagine.
I would think so.
2-2 the count on Brendan Donovan. The shift on the right side.
Change up.
Good pitch. Strikeout of Donovan, and there's one away here in the home half of the 8th. I got to tell you, though, Jimmy, it's good being back with you and baseball on TV. Fans back in the stands. Exciting day for all of us to be back.
Nice and warm. 88 degrees down there in Florida.
Love it.
Some sunshine.
It's a fun time of year. Spring trainings here, and NCAA tournament going on. You got Blues hockey and the playoffs right around the corner. Love it. Sosa struck out his first time up, and the 0-1. Paul DeYoung making the start at short today, went 1 for 2. Nolan Arenado had a bases loaded single that brought in 2. Many of the regulars started today's game. Spring training kind of set up like the COVID year of last season, with the abbreviated spring training. Had to redo the schedule, so you're playing teams just in your area. So Houston, Washington, the Mets, and Miami. So you're not going across the state to Fort Myers or to Tampa to face the Yankees. Boston and Fort Myers, Minnesota.
That's not fun in the normal spring training, let alone a short one.
Back-to-back Ks. It's different in Florida as opposed, though, to what you get out in Arizona. Arizona, all the clubs are pretty close to each other.
I'll tell you what, that used to be the case. It's still pretty good, but they've really expanded Phoenix and Scottsdale as a whole. I mean, you could go now an hour from northeast to southwest now. They've gotten a pretty good, it used to be 20-30 minutes at the most here and there. A couple teams were 30-40 minutes, and that was it. But your big day was driving down to Tucson, and that was an hour and 20 minutes, say whatever, hour and 30 minutes. But I'll tell you what, they've gotten enough teams in there where they've had to spread out. I mean, it's not tough, and it's a great city and great ballparks, but they've spread it out a little bit. It's not as quaint as it used to be, as I remember they would always say, well, you can drive back if you can go with a veteran. You know, it's nice and easy. And now it's starting to get spread out where they probably have to keep an eye on a few guys because it's definitely expanded since back in the day.
Cable lines it to left, and we move to the ninth. St. Louis on top, 4-2. Lefty is in for St. Louis. That's Kyle Ryan. And it's a 4-2 St. Louis lead. Ali Marmol trying to get his first victory under his belt. Kyle Ryan was signed to a minor league deal. Invitation to this big league camp. And we've seen him a bunch. You may recognize that name. He was with the division rival Cubs in each of the past 3 seasons. Best year was in 2019. He's got a 58% ground ball rate. So you look for guys that the Cardinals are bringing in. It's people that get ground balls.
Well, you're going to have something, right? You either have to now throw 100 or you have to get some ground balls. Throwing 93, 94 down the middle stuff's not getting it anymore.
Again, our next telecast of Cardinal baseball will be next week. We'll be down in Jupiter, and that will be Tuesday. Lined out to deep left, and a one-hopper off the wall. Dug out by Burleson. And a leadoff double, and the tying run will come to the plate.
It's got a little bit too much plate. Just talking about a short swing right there. Ooh.
I was told that you have agreed to, or you will if you don't know about it yet.
This is scary.
That you, on opening day, when you're in your convertible and wave into the crowd and wearing that red jacket, that you are going to wear the IFB and a microphone so that we can talk to you as you go around the track.
I have heard that.
And you, working as your agent, will agree to do that.
No, he didn't.
So are we getting extra, me and you getting extra pay for that? Hey, we got a mask.
You know what, Jimmy? I'll take a very slight cut of 37.2%. And I think it'll be a good thing.
It'll be fun.
There's the 0-2 pitch by Ryan.
As long as you cut the mic after I run up the stairs to get to the booth and I'm out of breath. Have to cut it off then.
Don't worry, we'll have plenty of food for you.
I'll be out of breath hustling up the stairs.
You know what? We're going to make sure that somebody will be at the elevator just for you.
There you go.
Okay?
Me and the 49,000 other fans.
We'll put security around you, buddy.
Yeah, be good. Aggie will take care of me.
Aggie Siriati is going to be back, manning her post. And I'll tell you what, Aggie, don't overlook Aggie. She might take you out.
She'll flex on you.
You betcha. She's tough. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Been told that there's a guard, Terry. You know Terry, right?
Yep.
She would help you out.
She's down there keeping an eye on everyone who goes underground.
That's right.
Can't get past Terry.
No. One. Wonder who the umpires will be for that opening series.
Come on.
We've lost a few. A couple guys have retired.
Joe West
Retired?
is retired.
Singing, making cowboy music.
Yeah.
This guy's got some kind of cross-angled cutter, doesn't he? It's bearing down on back leg of some of these hitters.
Jerry Davis also retired. We saw Jerry, a St. Louis native. He worked, I believe his final game was with us last year. He wanted to do it in St. Louis.
I believe so too.
Mentioned Joe West was his time after what? He had the most games umpired in the history of the sport. Yadi and Waino this year have a chance to set the all-time battery starts together, you know, 300 plus. That'll never be broken.
Who would have saw that coming 2 years ago?
I mean, if they get it, I don't see how anybody comes close to breaking that.
No, that's unheard of.
First of all, the position, both of them demanding, and then this day and age, free agency, guys leaving their organizations. I mean, there it is. They got to get to 324, and they should be able to do it. As long as they're healthy, they will. Adam Wainwright made the start today for the Cardinals. Went a couple of innings. Very efficient. Did give up a run, but a lot of strikes in his debut. 3-2 pitch. And got him. Catches the outside corner, the bottom of the zone. And there's 2 away.
It's a good job right there. He kept kind of pounding guys in, got everyone's attention, and that little backdoor cutter slider right there ended up right on the corner. Pretty good pitch.
Hit sharply to second. Catch is made by Nolan Gorman, and the ball game comes to a close as the Cardinals win their first of the spring 4-2 over the Houston Astros, and we're off and running in 2022. Final of 4-2, and we'll come back after a brief timeout and wrap it up. We're underway. Baseball is back. 4-2 the final.